Mughal Diwan is better than Mamluks. I haven't actually played as the Mughals, but yeah, actually I haven't played as the Mughals because it seems overpowered. Doesn't seem that particularly interesting. This is indeed the community clash, yes. So, the rest of Europe or the rest of the world I should say, it's no longer just Europe. Pretty quiet at the moment. We had the big showdown between Austria and the Ottomans, which the Ottomans completely destroyed. And they now have 2 goals completed. We haven't seen any religious wars yet. I think it's because the Protestants are probably still consolidating. Yeah. Ooh, Ireland's getting a little bit Protestant. Do we have any more colonies going? We have the Dutch actually expanding probably the quickest. Currently taking over Borrican. And then going after Bunny as well, which is actually a centre of trade. As is Borrican. Holland isn't here, right? This is good colonization by the AI. No, apparently not. So the Dutch are really going for the Caribbean controllings here. And doing a really good job of it. I mean, they've taken 2 of the 5 possible colonial centres of trade, which is very important to the Caribbean. So the Dutch could well be controlling the Caribbean trade here. Borrican is Puerto Rico. Aha. Meanwhile, the Portuguese are expanding their holdings in Africa. So they've got both the Costa del Oro and the Cape Coast. So that's 2 of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 centres of trade in the Ivory Coast region. I was wondering if they'd taken the Malian one, but they haven't. And actually, Mali is currently being attacked by the Iberian powers. Interesting. Oh, and Britain's taken Arguin. So Britain is starting their colonial game. Going for Africa by the looks of things. Or else they're just buying territories. Like someone did mention earlier that Britain has now taken Malta. I don't remember who owned Malta prior to this. It might well have been the Papal State, seeing as they have a truce. Oh, and they have Sardinia. Yeah, Britain's definitely been buying some territory here in the Mediterranean from the Pope. So I wonder what's behind this Mediterranean aspiration for the British. They haven't taken Gibraltar yet. So one of their British objectives is to take a couple of their territories. They want Bermuda, Gibraltar and Malta. Bermuda has not yet been colonized. Gibraltar they don't own. And then they have Malta, so that's one of the 3 provinces that they need for that goal. Britain was making a ton of money when I showed the ledger before. Oh yeah, Britain is stupendously wealthy. Because Britain's got a very, 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 very profitable trade agreement going with Denmark and the Netherlands, where they basically take all of the money. It's all theirs. And then they pay out a subsidy. Now, I would not be surprised if they cancelled that subsidy for the duration of this game, seeing as Holland isn't even here. Diplomatic expenses. Yeah, see, they've stopped their subsidies to Holland. And Holland, I suspect, is still doing the trade. Yep, still transferring trade power. So they're just making absolute bank off of the fact that Holland owns a bunch of the Low Countries, which is in the English Channel node. More wars going on right now. So Cologne is currently fighting against Nassau and Ulm. So Cologne is slowly but surely extending their grasp of this region. Then we have Slurfen and Trier fighting in the same war. Veronix is fighting against the Mamluks once more, and Hejaz, Fadl, Aydin, Anzia, Ajuran, and Shewa. Seeing as there's that many enemies, I do wonder if he's co-belligerized anyone. Yes. A bunch of people. Aydin, Anzia, Fadl, and Hejaz are all co-belligerents in this war, which the Ottomans have declared. So the Ottomans clearly staking their claim and then also giving their allies some pieces of the pie at the same time. Aragon have wrecked Mali, so the Malian coast is now Aragonese. So this is definitely like Aragon's comeback. Aragon was rather deftly defeated earlier in the game and now seem to be getting some territories back, so they are back in it. Ethiopia is still at war with Adal. This is a war that's been going on since 1511. That's 8 years that they've been fighting now. Darkfighter is currently fighting against the Great Horde and Shirvan. Great Horde being here, Shirvan... Not sure where Shirvan is. Oh, here. So I don't think that that's going to be proving to be much of a problem for the Muscovites. And then QQ fighting also against the Mamluks. So this is basically going to be the end of the Mamluks, I suspect. And the opportunity that Tunis has been waiting for to become the Mamluks himself. Maybe. I think Ethiopia has basically always been at war. Yes. Pretty much. And they are still getting rebels. Just peace out. It's not worth this. Because yep, Adal's on low. They would accept a peace deal. And probably a fairly hefty one with 22% war score as well. What are you fighting for? Oh, player war. So we have got France, Venice, and Austria at war. Let's see who this one's about. Venice, it looks like, has declared war on Austria, bringing an Auvergne, Catalonia, France, and Navarre. This is Austria against Bohemia. Sorry, Austria and Bohemia and Württemberg. Again, Bohemia being targeted because Bohemia is not here. Venice is going for their piece of the pie. One of Venice's objectives is to make sure that Austria does not have any ports in the Adriatic. So if they take Gors, then that objective is then completed. They are joined by France. Okay, so Austria is being joined by Castile and Aragon. So we are seeing the big Mediterranean war firing off right now, which includes Iberia versus France. And the Ottomans are just sitting there going, great, Europe's tearing itself apart for my pleasure once again. Excellent. So Austria is being supported by their Iberian allies, but yeah, I don't think that Austria really has the numbers on their side, and also the fact that Bohemia is being played by the AI right now. I mean, there's 30,000 troops, which could really have turned the tide, especially with 23,000 manpower as well in the bank. So I suspect that Austria must have switched back to Protestant? No. So despite being the defender of the Protestant faith, France is still getting involved. I guess they just had an alliance with Venice. They do. Right. France is fighting Venice. I keep forgetting. Sorry, France is fighting Austria, not on the side of Austria. This is not a repeat of the Ottoman War. This is all going as Osman foretold. Yeah, pretty much. When will the Ottomans be halted? Will the Ottomans be halted? That is the question. So when do your rebels take their demands? You still got some time. 8.5 war exhaustion. What's your rebel risk? I don't think I even want to know. That's actually only 2%. Positive stability, consort to the people. You got lucky with an event there. And then religious unity also counting against you because you're Coptic and they aren't. And here's the counterattack. These have got to be mercenaries by now, surely. Yeah, they are. How many loans? Many loans. And this is even after having stolen 1,000 ducats from Florence. I need to stop looking at Ethiopia. This is not where the interest is right now. As much fun as it is watching a train wreck in slow motion. We should... That's not fun. No, I'm not even going to joke about that. So Venice is not advancing quite as quickly as I think they would have liked, although France currently is. The big question is whether the Iberians are going to be able to take any territories back in Catalonia. So we have the Bohemians currently just going squish, 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 taking out a bunch of the Venetian. I assume these are mercenaries. Can't actually click on them in time. Let's click on Venice real quick. Come back here. You're a mercenary. So I suspect that the other guys were also mercenaries. And Bohemia's gone, yeah, I've done my bit. I'm going home now. It's not that it's fun. It's that it's so bad that you can't look away. There you go. It's a better way of putting it. France sending a couple of troops to the south. They do have a few forces here in Catalonia. Castile has seen the French forces arriving because they do still have these territories from Aragon, so they do have vision over this. And they're deciding, you know what, against 20,000, not worth it. So Castile is losing money. They have 19,000 manpower. France has 85,000 manpower and a metric ton of money. I do wonder if they were paid by the Venetians to join this war. Here we go. Venice against Bohemia. Bohemia with 4.3 morale against the Knights, who are leading this one with 3.7, 1.5 against 1.5 tactics. The Bohemians have a lot more artillery. The Bohemians are actually usually pretty tech-savvy and winning that fight pretty handily and then holding on to Treviso. Then we have the Knights coming in for a second time, apparently, and this is probably going to be a Knight stack wipe. I feel like that may have been a bug, or... yeah, that was probably a bug, unfortunately. Then the French coming in to probably try and defeat the Bohemians. It's very unfortunate. Yeah, retreat bug, I thought so. Which is going to be a big setback for the Knights. Like, that's not a cheap army to rebuild for them. They are lacking money as it is. They have taken, flipping hell, a lot of loans. So clearly the raiding thing hasn't been going quite to plan. Why are they so much in debt? Missionaries. Fort maintenance. I mean, your forts are probably not at risk, so you can probably turn those off, seeing as you've got a fleet out and about. And you're on Venice's side. Okay, so France did send Bohemia packing, unsurprisingly. Oh, and they've got advisors. They are receiving subsidies from Venice to try and offset some of their costs, and I suspect that they have not been raiding the Ottomans, because the Ottomans have probably gone, stop. They probably took loans to afford the large army, it's possible. They lost how many troops? 12,000? 16,000? What's their force limit right now? 10. So they were well over the force limit too. Couple of particulars rising up, not a real big threat. Bohemia's already on low, so they need to piece them out. In fact, Bohemia's going on low really quickly. Oh, Bohemia seek fast white peace. AI setting enabled. I see. So Venice is rebuilding some of their armies. France is coming in to assist. And Iberia doesn't seem particularly willing to invest in this fight. Although if they wanted to do it now, they probably should do it while the French armies are separated. Venice, meanwhile, with a very large fleet, all of which are currently occupying the Gulf of Venice. Castile does have a fleet. I wonder how big the difference here is. So the Austrian side has 7 heavies to the 3, no galleys to 39. So I think in the Mediterranean these 39 galleys will push this. These galleys are basically the equivalent of 10 heavies, so it's effectively 13 against 7. Castile has just pieced out. They've had enough, so now it's just Austria versus Venice and France. Castile thought, not worth it. When will the next Kaiserreich tournament be? In 2 hours. 7 o'clock PM this evening. If my voice holds out. It's already getting a little bit croaky. Need to take some Strepsils and Lemsip before I start. And more tea, of course. I mean, tea is always there to soothe one's voice. But I think I'm going to need to go something a little bit stronger. So Portugal's expansion into Brazil has been ongoing quite nicely. They've now got a completely contiguous border down there. And they've also started doing a few colonies a little bit further south, probably to give them a springboard into Argentina and possibly trying to get around into Chile and then eventually Peru. Nobody going for Mexico just yet. Nobody on the east coast of America. These guys, I think, are still colonizing, although the Danes have almost finished. while the Dutch continue to take on the Caribbean. Now, where are the Spanish colonists? I wonder. Same place, they only have the one colony going at the moment. Yeah, I have a feeling that Vienna is... The fact that Vienna's been renamed to Beck is automatic. Like, you can set up naming lists for different nations. So, the Ottomans name it Beck. No, Britain's not at war. Not in that one. They're currently fighting off Kildare and the Isles. Wait, the Isles? No, I guess they decided to attack them rather than annex them. Because I'm fairly sure that the Isles were one of their minions. But we're going for the final unification of the British Isles here. Dynamic naming is one of my favourite features in EU4. It is pretty good. It's definitely pretty good. So Tyrol is about to fall. If Austria is going to make a move, they'll need to make it now. But they're really up against it here. There are a lot of enemies in this region. Tyrol is the only place where they can really hold. Oh no, I guess Graubünden too. It depends on what Venice is their eye on. Like, I suspect that Venice wants Tyrol because it's a gold mine. And also Gauze, so they can get their mission completed. Needs to be events where the Scot rebels rise up if you're in Scotland. At this point, I mean, Great Britain was formed because of the Act of Union, not because they forcibly annexed Scotland. I mean, if you do it through military conquest rather than vassalization, maybe. But if they're a vassal and then you annex the vassal, I think that's fine. But yeah, if you just outright annex them, that could be interesting. I'm noticing a couple of Prussians here in Bohemia right now. Oh, and this is also going to be in Venice, is going to be in the South German region too. So it does look like the German miners are gone, you know what? We can't hold this anymore. Germany's being abused by too many different nations. We have a peace offer. Austria will cede Tyrol, Südtirol, Jens and Gors. 4 provinces. Tyrol, Südtirol, Jens and Gors. So it's the 4 that they've taken so far. Plus money? No money. This is actually quite a generous peace offer. And seeing as it is just Austria fighting against them right now because Bohemia has been pieced out, I don't really see what Austria can do about this, because you would effectively have to fight 20, 40, 60, call it 80,000 troops-ish. They arrive in the Alps on the 2nd. No, France is already moving. They would actually have got there first, because France would have arrived on the 9th. Oh, battle. So Austria has finally decided to give battle. This is -2 in the mountains of Graubünden. However, Austria was sent packing, and I think that was going to be effectively their only chance. These guys were marching pretty quickly to catch up, but seeing as they couldn't even beat the 20,000 on their own, yeah, it's not looking good. I think at this point Austria should probably go, do you know that offer you just offered me? Yeah, I should probably take it. Austria without the HRE is not nearly as threatening. No, it's not. I think that Austria would have needed to be a little bit more domineering towards the other German powers to try and keep them under heel, and they haven't been. But then again, Austria has also just had threats on every side. Like, everyone's seen Austria has become the weak man of Europe, or the sick man of Europe, and has basically dived on them. I mean, what's happening here is Prussia's going, they look weak, you guys should probably attack them. Oh, now they look weak, you should probably attack them. And the number of German powers is slowly but surely falling by the wayside.